and a lot of different things that happened here without getting too complicated. They used a complex video system of real-time video and audio inside the dugout, where they would watch the opposing players' signals. They would use that as part of their tape and game preparation, and they inserted, or underneath the jerseys, now I guess everybody's got to get patted down. That's not a rule, I'm just saying, to make sure that there's not any type of electronic buzzers. So when a certain pitch is coming, they do a certain type of buzz. So they brought modern technology to what's been known to happen for years. And so what they would do, if not use the buzzer, they'd have someone bang on the garbage can. You imagine having that job? Hey, honey, what are you doing today? Well, I'm on the can today, baby. I'm on the can. So they had somebody bang a garbage can, and it would send the signal to the batter. And so obviously with the Astros and the World Series, all of that came to light. They're not the only team. The Red Sox were involved with some stuff. And so here's the thing. The Houston Astros fired and terminated their leadership of that organization. The players didn't get punished at all because the MLB says it shouldn't. I personally think, hey, you're a grown-up. You're not a kindergartner. You're not a first grader or a second grader with a substitute teacher in there. You're just running around and you need supervision. You're a grown adult. You know what's right and you know what's not right. So I think everybody involved should have been penalized. But the Astros did start their season off with, we'll call it a somewhat acceptable of an apology. So what we're going to do is we're going to play about 5 minutes of that press conference, and then we'll come back and then we'll probably try to play a little bit more of the press conference before we go into our next segment with Daytona 500. But I do want to get you guys to get a feel of what happened in the words of the mouth of the Astros. Here's a little bit of the part of the segment of the news conference with the Houston Astros.
The whole Astros organization and the team feel bad about what happened in 2017. We especially feel remorse for the impact in our fans and the game of baseball.
I've learned from this, and I hope to regain the trust of baseball fans.
That was Houston Astros stars Jose Altuve and Alex Bregman apologizing yesterday for the sign-stealing scandal that rocked Major League Baseball. It was the first time reporters heard from the Astros since news of the scandal broke last month. The team used an algorithm to steal signs from pitchers and then would bang a trash can in the dugout to help batters guess the pitch correctly. MLB said that the Astros used the method when they won the World Series in 2017. And some people are unsatisfied now with Houston's apology. One of those critics is David Samson. He's the host of the CBS Sports podcast, Nothing Personal, and a CBS Sports HQ MLB analyst. He's also the former president of the Miami Marlins. So, David, why do you think that the Astros apology is insufficient?
Well, first I thought it came too late. The owner, Jim Crane, said that he couldn't get the whole team together until spring training. And that is when he's going to do a PR plan and come out with a press conference and a proper apology. Well, he waited, and then the apology was less than proper. And it's actually made things worse for himself, the team, and MLB.
And you mentioned Astros owner Jim Crane. He refused to admit that the scandal actually impacted the game. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Our opinion is, that this didn't impact the game. We had a good team. We won the World Series, and we'll leave it at that.
Those comments from the owner of the Astros, and it still appears that he's not apologizing. He said it didn't impact the result. Does that suggest that the Astros really aren't going to change culture-wise?
Well, they have to change in terms of no longer banging garbage cans. But really what Jim Crane is saying there is that he's not taking accountability and he's not being realistic. That entire franchise, they don't do one thing that doesn't try to give them an advantage to try to win more games. If you're going to go through that entire process of filming the catcher, relaying the signs through sounds, buzzers, whistles, whatever they did, it better give you an advantage, and it better help impact the game, or you ought to be firing the people for being ineffective. So I think his approach should have been quite a bit different. He should have apologized, acknowledged what he did, taken full accountability for what he did, and then tried to help the healing process instead of forcing the healing process.
Well, let's talk about what happened. As a result of the scandal, the Astros fired their manager and general manager. They were fined $5 million. They lost 2 first-round picks. The Red Sox and the Mets also had to fire their managers because they had roles with the Astros at the time. Do you believe that the MLB needs to enact more punishment on the Astros, or is that fair?
Well, the question you're asking is the punishment handed out to the Astros a deterrent? So as a team president for 18 years, would I, after this punishment, change what I was doing because I hadn't gotten caught yet? And the answer is yes. And the deterrents were the draft picks, more than the $5 million, more than having to fire people out of my front office. Losing draft picks will set back the Houston Astros. I never would have gone so far as to break the rules in this way, so I never had to worry about penalties like that. That said, if I'm running a team now, I'm paying very close attention to the PR fallout of this, which is even greater than the Astros losing their draft picks.
There's also another controversial MLB topic right now. Commissioner Rob Manfred is reportedly recommending changes to the playoff system. It would allow 7 teams in each league to make the postseason. Do you think that change is good or bad for baseball?
Oh, I think it's great. I was always in favor of expanding the playoffs. I want as many cities as possible to have an opportunity to play in October, which I had a chance to be a president of a team that won a World Series in 2003. When you're hearing criticisms of it, you're hearing it from players, and they're taking that position because of collective bargaining. This is a collective bargaining issue, and you never want to agree to anything that management says when you're part of the union because you're going to save it for a trade later in the negotiation. But trust me, the playoffs will be expanded.
I know for a lot of members of my family, this is their favorite time of the year. Spring training just getting started. All eyes right now on the Los Angeles Dodgers. They just traded for superstar outfielder Mookie Betts and starting pitcher David Price. What kind of pressure do you think is on the Dodgers in their 2020 season?
Well, the Dodgers, as you know, in the World Series 2 out of the last 3 years, but they haven't won a ring since 1988. They refuse under Andrew Friedman, who used to run the Tampa Bay Rays, who now is with the Dodgers. They don't sign big free agents. They took David Price for $16 million a year for 3 years, and they've never given more than $55 million to a free agent. Mookie Betts is a one-year guy, and even if they don't re-sign him, the way this trade works is them not just getting to the World Series, it's winning the World Series, and that's a big wait to see.
David Sampson, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And there you have it. I did make a mistake in the description. There was part of the press conference there. I appreciate our friends over at CBS.com for allowing us to use that. But, yes, the point being is, I don't think the Astros went far enough there. I think the Astros just did what they did just to say, you know, when you're a kid, the parents say, now go apologize to your brother. Okay, I'm sorry, and didn't really mean it. What we are going to do, though, is we are going to get into this press conference. We've got about 5 or 10 minutes that we could play of it. We're not going to be able to play all of it, but we'll go ahead and play as much of it as we can. You'll get a good idea of that, and then we'll come back on the back end and finish off this segment and get ready for our Daytona 500 talk. Here is the press conference with the Houston Astros.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of HQ. Jeremy St. Louis alongside Brandon Baylor and David Sampson. The Houston Astros holding a press conference on Thursday morning, and this just in, they have apologized for their role in the sign-stealing scandal. Alex Bregman and Jose Altuve both making statements before the media and then basically just walking away, but taking questions. His owner, Jim Crane, Dusty Baker is also there. Jim Crane was asked about the fallout in terms of how this affects Major League Baseball. Let's take a listen.
Listen, we're staying focused on the Astros. It's not my job to deal with those other teams. I'm sure the commissioner will handle that appropriately. We're glad to, you know, if there's a silver lining here, we're glad to get this behind us and get spring training started, and we feel very fortunate to have Dusty and James Click here.
Okay, Tyler. Jim, you mentioned right off the top there that the players, I think, did not receive proper guidance from their leaders, but the league's official report says it was a player-driven scheme. Do you think it was not driven by the players, or why do you absolve the players, it sounds like, of blame for this?
Well, Commissioner's report was very thorough, and they did a lot of work on it. Where the commissioner came down, which I agree with him, is that it could have been stopped, and it wasn't stopped, and people had knowledge of it based upon the report. So we hold those two guys accountable for what happened and not stopping that action.
Okay, another question? Raise your hand. Okay.
Mr. Crane, what do you have to say to the Yankees and teams that you beat in 17?
Listen, the Yankees have had a few comments out there. Our opinion is, that this didn't impact the game. We had a good team. We won the World Series, and we'll leave it at that.
Another question? Chandler, right here.
Jim, are you confident your team didn't use any wearable devices or buzzers during the 2019 season?
The commissioner addressed that in the report, and I'm confident it's accurate. I've discussed it with the players, and they've assured me that nothing like that ever happened. There's no substance to that whatsoever. And I believe AJ made a comment last night and cleared that up. I truly believe there was no buzzers ever, and I don't even know where that came from. So.
Okay, Mark. Okay, that's yours. Okay, right here up front. Okay, we'll go to Jeff first, and then over here.
Jim, when talking about the Yankees there, did you say you feel like this didn't impact the game? And what do you mean by that?
I didn't say it didn't impact the game. Basically, as the commissioner said in his report, he's not going to go backwards. It's hard to determine how it impacted the game, if it impacted the game, and that's where we're going to leave it.
Okay, right over here.
Jim, after the Wall Street Journal article came out last week, it sort of painted another picture of the sign stealing scandal also being driven through the front office. Have you guys had conversations with the front office staffers who are still here, who may have been a part of the scheme initially, and how can fans be ensured that everything is above board, considering some of the same folks are still around?
Well, again, the leader of that department has been fired. I've had some time to review the department. There will be some changes in there. As the commissioner said, he wasn't going to count the lower level people, hold them accountable along with the players. I agree with that. But we are reviewing the baseball operations. James Click and I will continue to work on that and put a structure together that we feel comfortable that this won't happen again in the future.
Okay, over here.
Kerry Sanders with NBC News. Was this cheating, and how does this reflect the feelings of the nation right now, where we see a corseting of rhetoric in this country, where people seem to want to win at any cost, even if it includes cheating?
Well, listen, we don't endorse the actions that took place. We've apologized. It's been tough on the team and tough on the city and tough on the nation. I don't disagree with that. But the only thing we can do is sit here and say we're sorry. We're going to move forward in a positive way. And you can count on us to be a positive force in delivering that message.
All right, and that was a portion of the press conference with the Houston Astros a couple days ago regarding their apologies in the cheating scandal, if you will, with the Houston Astros. We've got a poll up on our Twitter. Go there and check that out and vote on that. Was it sufficient, or more should be done? Go vote on that at T-Balance. My name is Tom Marquis, El Presidente. It is Daytona 500 weekend, baby. That's right. Myself, Steve Wilson from the Speedway Digest joins us, and also Tony Donahue will be joining us as well as we get into this Daytona 500 talk and get ready to rock and roll. My name is Tom Marquis, El Presidente. We'll be right back right here on the Balance Radio Network.
Anticipated moment in racing.